It's fine, because I'm not chasing a bar, I'm chasing my own.
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna get even better.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here, to get even better at the details and efficiency, because people think they've seen the best version of me, and they want me to see me fail or move the bar. And like, Chad, I'll tell you right now, no matter what happens, I'm coming.
Don't you love it when people put their expectation on you?
Exactly. It actually motivates me more. I
Exactly.
appreciate my haters. They don't even realize the people that are online that's talking the most shit.
You feeding me.
Because of the algorithm, I have to see it, which I have a problem with. The fucking social engineering.
Yeah, that's how it works.
I can't avoid it if I wanted to, because the algorithm is gonna show you shit that you're not even following.
Yeah.
Without your consent.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, is unethical. But I'm somewhat grateful because I get to see some negativity that I didn't want, but that just gives more fuel to the fire. I get to see some, comments or takes that I didn't even care to see, but it just gives me more fuel to the fire. So all the people that's doubting me, that want me to do this or want me gone or whatever, you turning me into a monster.
I'd say it's great character building.
It is. Yeah, and I'm grateful for all the adversity because it's carried me to what I'm about to do next.
All right, today we have to circle back to the Jaylen Brown situation. Brad Stevens has come out and shared his perspective on everything that's unfolded, and Kendrick Perkins is weighing in right alongside him. As we already know, Jaylen Brown was actually part of that Giannis trade package Boston was reportedly willing to send to Milwaukee along with 2 first-round picks. But Milwaukee had concerns about whether Jaylen would commit to signing long-term, and ultimately chose to go with Miami's offer instead. In the aftermath, we also saw Boston use those assets to draft Peyton Pritchard and bring in Aaron Nesmith, 2 players who clearly have real upside and long-term potential. So overall, things worked out reasonably well for them. Now, watching how this is all played out for Milwaukee, it's clear the move benefited them, but at the same time, Jaylen Brown remains a Boston Celtic. And that's something Brad Stevens had to directly address, especially with Jaylen's name continuing to surface in various trade rumor cycles. Notably, though, Jason Tatum's name has never come up in those same conversations, which tells you exactly who the organization has fully committed.
Brown's a big part of us. I'm never gonna predict the future, but every indication, everything that I think about is over the past few years has been building around those guys, right? And so obviously you never know, but at the same time, I think the one thing I want to make very clear is how valued he's always been. He's been amazing. He's been an amazing teammate, great person to be around, and whether that run ends 10 years from now when he retires or before, there's a lot to celebrate. And, that we have a great relationship and an open relationship where we talk about everything. And but I don't want to predict the future, but, I look at it as this is our team.
Like Usher say, send in those papers. Because this relationship is over. There's no coming back to this. How many times is Brad Stevens and the Boston Celtics going to give Jaylen Brown a hug with the knife in his back, behind his back? This is the second time. This is the second time that they tried to trade this man. And if I'm Jaylen Brown, I want out of Boston. I don't feel appreciated. And yeah, a lot of it has to do with him running his mouth outside the lines. I'm pretty sure him doing the streaming is rubbing people the wrong way. But you can't come back from this. It's too much animosity, too much heat going on in the middle. Jaylen Brown, to me, said things after they were eliminated that rubbed people the wrong way. Jason Tatum probably would never say it, but for him to say that it was his favorite season of all time while a guy's sidelined with an Achilles injury, that don't sit well with.
Yeah, man, that's exactly right. And here's the thing about that particular comment. Regardless of whether it was actually directed at Jason Tatum or not, the reality is Tatum is going to interpret it as being about him. When you say something like, the one season that I'm out is your favorite, that's the kind of statement that's bound to make a teammate feel a certain way, no matter how it was actually intended. And it's not just me saying this. Stephen A. Smith and several other analysts have pointed out the exact same thing. Honestly, if Jaylen Brown had simply said something like, "This has been the season with the most adversity we faced," people probably would have received that completely differently. But by phrasing it the way he did, it naturally leaves the statement open to interpretation, and that's never a good position to be in publicly. But here's the other side of it. The front office essentially left him with a roster that, on paper, many people doubted could perform at a high level, and yet that team still managed to secure a strong playoff seed, arguably the second-best position in the entire conference. And from Jaylen Brown's perspective, it doesn't seem like he felt fully appreciated for pulling that off. He wasn't celebrated or praised in the same way that Jason Tatum has historically been for similar accomplishments. And to be fair, it wasn't even the exact same supporting cast. Tatum had Drew Holiday and Al Horford playing at a high level alongside him, plus a strong veteran presence around the roster. So Jaylen Brown's mindset is seemingly, look, I had to step up and take on a real leadership role this season, and I just want some genuine recognition for what I contributed. And honestly, you could see that frustration playing out publicly throughout the year. He was tweeting more, doing live streams, really putting himself out there and promoting his own brand. And from what it looks like, that approach hasn't necessarily sat well with the people in charge behind the scenes. We even saw a strange situation where police showed up at a mansion he was renting during All-Star Weekend and ended up shutting down a celebration he was hosting, which had a number of streamers and content creators in attendance. It was just an odd, unexpected moment that added to the overall narrative surrounding him this year. So now the bigger question becomes, can Jaylen Brown continue to exist within this organization moving forward? I mean, look, he's a professional, and I have no doubt he's capable of handling it. But realistically, I don't know if the outside noise around his situation is ever going to fully go away at this point, especially after the front office has already attempted to trade him on 2 separate occasions. Now, I understand, Giannis is a generational talent, no argument there. But you could also make the case that Jaylen Brown has actually won just as much, if not more, since Giannis last won a title, including capturing both Finals MVP and Conference Finals MVP honors during that championship run. So from his point of view, it probably still feels like a bit of a slap in the face that the organization would even consider moving him, especially considering he's younger and has a noticeably cleaner injury history compared to Giannis. So I'm not entirely sure that continuing to shop him around without a clear plan to actually move on from him is the right long-term strategy. I know there have been multiple names floated in potential trade packages involving him, and his situation continues to come up in different trade rumors and scenarios around the league. But here's the thing. If you do eventually trade Jaylen Brown, you absolutely have to bring back the right piece in return, and you also need Jason Tatum to get back to full health. Maybe that's when some of the chemistry issues start to resolve themselves naturally. It's also worth mentioning that there have been rumors suggesting Jaylen Brown may have personally approached the front office and expressed interest in a fresh start elsewhere. That said, he hasn't really shown his hand publicly in any major way. A lot of what we're discussing here is still speculation at this point. But what does seem clear is that it's going to be a tough sell convincing people that he's actually viewed as a long-term piece for this organization's future. It really feels like the moment the right trade offer comes along, he'll likely be moved without much hesitation. And honestly, that's a bit of a shame when you think about it. A Finals MVP, someone who directly helped bring another championship to this franchise, probably isn't going to end up retiring as a Celtic. That much, unfortunately, seems